Good afternoon. So I'm here to talk about cybersecurity because as we talk about all of these great things that you can do with technology and all of the fantastic directions that technology is going, we also have to think about what happens to all of that data that we're putting out there and who is after it and what do they want to do with it. And so it's kind of my job to be paranoid. I get paid to be paranoid. And so I'm here to share that paranoia with you today. I'm often called the woman who scares people. So it was actually just 3 years ago that we really started hearing about hacks, breaches of data in the mainstream media. And really, Target was the first that we really heard about on all news outlets. How many of you were affected by the Target breach? Quite a few. Right following that was Home Depot. They actually, they did it right. Theirs did not happen during Black Friday when it's shopping season. So, if you're gonna have a breach and you're a retailer, don't have it happen over Thanksgiving break. But how many of you were affected by Home Depot? Just a few, okay? Just recently now, last year we had Anthem. They had a breach that they lost 78.8 million healthcare records. That's the largest healthcare breach that we've had to date. And of course, it was shortly followed by Ashley Madison. How many of you were affected by that? Sorry. Okay, don't tell me, I don't want to know. Even here in Montana, we've been affected by this. We had our health department was breached, and over 1 million healthcare records were accessed. If you've ever lived in Montana, you were probably affected by this. The reason this one made the national news is because they said the Montana Health Department hack lost more records than people who live in Montana. And they were fascinated by that. But the thing that I took away from this wasn't that they lost our records. It was the statement that came out of this article, which was that Montana's computer system was seeing about 17,000 attempts per hour, which is over 6 million per year. So with stats like that, it really wasn't a matter of if, it was a matter of when. And boy, congratulations to them for holding them off as well as they did, and for securing it and preventing it from happening again. So, quick note about me. Karen Sprenger, I'm the COO of LMG Security. We're located in Missoula, Montana. We work all over the country and really the world. And as mentioned, I have 20 plus years as an IT professional. Obviously, I started when I was 32, for those of you who know math. No? Wait, 12. I'm sorry, 12? 16? Would anybody buy 16? All right. So I spent about 17 years with Billings Public Schools. 14 of those I was the director of IT, and people always ask, how did you get into cybersecurity? And I tell them, it's because the most hostile atmosphere you can ever face is a group of 16,000 adolescents who are trying to access online games and pornography. If you can protect a network from that, hackers are not a big deal. Sherry Davidoff, our founder and CEO, literally wrote the book on network forensics. She actually had hoped to be here today as well, but she is on her way to teach our network forensics class at Black Hat Conference in Las Vegas. But we have taught at MIT, the Google, Department of Defense, and all over the world. But our company is about more than just education. We also do penetration testing. What that really means is companies hire us to hack into their network and write a report about it. It's a fun job. Somebody's got to do it. And we also help people determine if they're HIPAA compliant, or if they've had a breach. We come in with forensics and tell them what happened, what was taken, what was left behind. But what I really want to talk about today is about how does this all affect you and your business? Because you may think, I'm not a target, both literally and figuratively. As my boss always says, if you name your business target, what were you expecting? But Most of you are not in businesses that are going to be targeted. In other words, there is not somebody out there who is saying, I want to get into that company's data and I'm going to take it. Most of you are what we call a target of opportunity, and what that means is an attacker out there is going to send out hundreds of thousands of messages, phishing messages, where they're trying to lure someone in to answer their questions and turn over their data or provide access to their computer so that they can install software that's malicious. So right now, and this is from the Semantic study in 2012. They're not releasing these statistics anymore. I wish they were, but they are about the same. Right now, 79% of breaches that happen are opportunistic, meaning somebody accidentally clicked a link in an email and it brought the whole thing crashing down. Only about 16% of them are targeted, meaning they knew who they were going after and they went after them. If you do experience a targeted attack, though, the interesting trend over the last few years has been that these attackers are starting to target small businesses that are between 0 and 250 people. The primary reason for that is that they look at those businesses and feel like they may not have an IT department. They may not have a security department. They may outsource their IT. They may not do training in cybersecurity, so they might be an easier target. So the question becomes why? Why are hackers after you? The thing you need to realize is hacking is not the teenager in mom's basement anymore. Hacking is big business, and it's cybercrime gangs. So in many cases, criminal organizations, this is a main part of their business now, is data collection and data sales and wire fraud. It's also nation states. There are countries that are hacking actively to get information. So if information is valuable to you, it's a valuable tool for those attackers. And they're really looking for money. They're looking for data that they can resell. They're looking for access to your bandwidth, your computers, your processing power. Sometimes they're looking for attention. I'm sure you've all heard of the hacking group Anonymous. They tend to hack more for political reasons so that they can get media attention to whatever they're targeting. Sometimes they want an audience. You'll see sometimes a celebrity get attacked or hacked. Their Facebook account gets hacked and somebody posts something. It's because they wanted the big audience. They wanted everyone to see what they had done. And then, of course, you have hacktivism, as they call it, which is political activism, but it's still hacking. Just in the last month, this has been the headlines. So these are people who make their living using social media, and their accounts have been attacked. First of all, we have Mark Zuckerberg, founder of Facebook. His social media accounts, not Facebook, but his other social media accounts were hacked, and his password was revealed to be ... Okay, that's not a strong password. And if you're running a technology company, please choose something stronger, especially if it's going to be in the news. We also had the CEO of Twitter. He had his actual Twitter account hacked. So somebody got control of his Twitter account and started leaving messages. And then right around the same time, the NFL's Twitter account was hacked. And then whoever attacked it obviously had some beef with Roger Goodell and posted a death announcement for him. But it created waves right away because Twitter is immediate. So it went right out on their feed, and all of a sudden, the NFL's getting all of these calls. We're so sorry about Roger. What can we do? And realized they'd been hacked. So what we're going to talk about today is if these folks have problems, what can you do? This is very important. If you only remember one thing that I say today, please remember this. The most vulnerable hardware on any network is the human mind. So you can put in all of the firewalls, all of the security devices that you want, the physical locks, but The person who is using that device or is holding the door open, because this is Montana and we're polite, those are the weak points in your network. So one of the best places to focus is on your people, educating them, talking to them about cybersecurity and about why it's everybody's problem. And it's not just the accountant or it's not just the IT department, but anybody who uses any of the technology, including if they have a badge card that gets them in through a security system, is responsible for security. I'll bet many of you did not know that Taylor Swift has an alternative job as a cybersecurity specialist. Anyone aware of that? This is actually a parody account on Twitter, Swift on Security. If you're in technology, I encourage you to follow it because, interestingly enough, it's a parody account, but whoever does it does a great job. So in addition to these memes to help get points across, there's releases about bugs in software and security patches and where you need to get them. So I had no idea that Taylor had that kind of time on her hands, but apparently cybersecurity is her secret love after music. So keeping in mind that people are our weakest point, let's talk about the two most prevalent threats that we're seeing right now. The first one is called spearfishing or wire fraud. Spearfishing is like sending a phishing email, so you're trying to hook somebody, but we call it spearfishing because somebody is being specifically targeted. And the way it usually works is this. They will do their homework, an attacker will do their homework, and they will determine who in the company has the access to initiate a wire transfer, who has access to those financial accounts, and usually they'll do that by doing some research on LinkedIn or looking at websites and looking at job description. And then what they'll do is they'll look and see who is that person's boss or who is the CEO or who is above that person. And then they will spoof. They will send a fake email that looks like it came from that CEO or from someone above that person, and they will tell them they need to make a wire transfer. Once that wire transfer goes through, the money is gone. So here's two that happened recently. Snapchat, technology company, they lost employee data because someone in their payroll department received what she thought was a notice from the CEO that said, hey, I need all of our tax information on our employees and I need it right now. And she didn't question it. She put it in an Excel spreadsheet and off she emailed it, not even encrypted. So also, there was a CEO recently at a Canadian company who was fired after his company lost $47 million in an email scam where emails were appearing to come from him to someone in the organization, and then they were wiring the money. He didn't lose his job because of the emails, because he wasn't sending them. He lost his job because this took place over a series of months. So the question was, how did 47 million go missing without anyone noticing? And again, this spearfishing is targeting specifically small businesses. That is the growth market for cybercrime. This is just an example of what spearfishing emails look like. So what you can see, first of all, is you've got the initial message that says, please process this payment of $78,000. And if they don't get a response right away, they'll create that sense of urgency and follow up with a very curt message. What's going on with the wire transfer? And then the next thing you see is the wire transfer went through. We've seen this in Montana a number of times. We worked with a very small business in Missoula that received one of these email messages, and they got very lucky. A lot of times in these messages, they'll put a note that says, and I'm unavailable right now, so you can't call me, and don't expect a response to email, just do this. But what they knew is that the gentleman who had purportedly sent this message was undergoing surgery at that moment. They knew that he was under anesthesia and could not have possibly sent an email, so they were able to disregard it, and they called us in to do forensics. We've had other companies, not so fortunate, who did not recognize that it was not coming from who it said it was. So one thing you can do there, and we'll talk about that in just a moment, is make sure that you have other ways besides just an email to send a wire. There's got to be some other way of confirming that, yes, this is what you want done. Email should be treated, as I used to tell the teachers in Billings Public School System, don't put anything in an email that you don't want to appear on the front page of the Billings Gazette. Because if any of you have read the Billings Gazette, you know the school district was always on the front page, and many times I was asked to provide emails. Second emerging threat, ransomware. We've all heard about this. So in this, an attacker gets control of your computer and proceeds to encrypt or lock up all of your files, and then holds the key to those files for ransom and demands that you pay, usually in Bitcoin, because right now it's very difficult to trace Bitcoin. We've seen this happen to a number of organizations as well, and it doesn't seem to discriminate about what type of organization it is. So we've seen it with churches, we've seen it with hospitals. There was this hospital recently that declared a state of emergency because they lost access to all their patient records because they were encrypted. I believe this hospital decided to pay the equivalent of about $17,000. Another hospital chose to rebuild everything from their backups. NASCAR, there was a NASCAR team that their laptops, they were a small team, 7 people, 7 laptops, all got ransomware. They did not pay the amount demanded. They went to Malwarebytes and asked for help and ended up with a new sponsor. So I guess there's that. Ransomware is growing. This is one that we're seeing grow by leaps and bounds, and it happens quite often. And it's very simple. I got this email in my inbox, and I've seen others very similar to it. You get an email message. It usually has an attachment. Sometimes it has a link to click. And it will say something like this one. Let me know if this invoice is correct. And then you think, what invoice? I don't remember doing business with Javier, but I better check it. The minute you open that attachment, it's going to install malicious software on your computer, and you may not know it's happening. So if you get an email you don't recognize, don't open any attachments, don't click any links. Another one I saw that I thought was very effective, they sent me one that said, here, your catering order is attached. If I don't hear from you, I will deliver it tomorrow at noon as discussed and expect payment at that time. You know, obviously, if I wasn't working in the paranoid field that I'm in, I would have said, wait, I didn't order food for tomorrow. I can't afford to pay for this. What if they show up? So they try to create a sense of urgency. It's always good to stop and think, why? Because we feel like it's important that people are able to see what this looks like and it's not such a mystery that you just hear about. LMG Security, we have a research lab in our offices in Missoula, and we call it the Play Lab. And last week we released our video of the Jigsaw Ransomware in action. And so in other words, as part of our job, we take this malware into our lab that's very isolated from everything, and we purposely infect computers with it, and we take pictures and show you what happens. So in this case, we created an email from the evil hackster, and we sent it to Dan D. O'Sullivan, and then Dan clicks the link. And it turns out it's a zip file that contained malicious software. And this is what happened. As you can see, the desktop initially started out with the icons looking normal, and we could see that some files were PDF and some were Excel documents. But after the malware was installed and ran, all of those files got changed to the blank icon, and the extension was .fun. I guess that was their idea of a joke. And so right now, all of those files are encrypted. We took it a step further, and we connected this computer to a OneDrive account. Could have been Google Apps, it could have been Dropbox, any of the online cloud services. Because those services sync, then we ended up encrypting all of the files on our cloud drive as well, because it was syncing in real time. After your files start to encrypt, that's when you get the scary clown face message that says, and Not all of them have the clown face, but that's why we use this one. It's telling us that it's encrypting our files. We have 24 hours to pay money. If we don't pay in 24 hours after that, one file will be deleted every hour for up to 72 hours, plus the price will go up. And at that point, if we haven't paid in 72 hours, all of our files will be destroyed. So we chose not to pay for the first 24 hours. We wanted to see what happened, and sure enough, we started to see, you can see the files that say yes, those files were deleted. Luckily, this was our lab computer, and we didn't care. So, given all of this, what can you do to protect yourself? At our company, we like to say that we want to create the joy of nothing, because a good day in information security is when nothing happens, nothing goes wrong. So let's help you experience the joy of nothing. Passwords are important. You can use multi-factor authentication. What that means is make sure it's something you know, something you are, and something you have. So for example, a password, that's something you know. Your fingerprint or your iris scan, that's something you are. And then a text message or a key or one of these RS tokens at the bottom, that is something that you have. Any combination of those creates multi-factor authentication, makes it that much more difficult to hack into your account. Also, choose a strong password. And really think of it not as a password, but as a passphrase. Lyrics to a song, the first line of your favorite book. Anything that you can think of that you'll remember and is long and complex. Add the punctuation, add some numbers if you need to, but the longer the password, the harder it will be to crack. Also, password 1 is not a secure password, even if you change the O to a 0, just saying. Please do not use the name of your dog, okay? Not secure, especially if you have a picture of your dog on the desk. QWERTY is one of the most popular passwords because that's the top row of keys. Not secure. It's one of the ones we guess first. For those of you who are 80s fans, and now I'm giving my age away, OU812, not a secure password, but one of the most commonly used passwords for those between the ages of 40 and 55. So make sure your password is strong. Also, please don't click links in emails. If you're expecting an email from someone and they have told you I'm sending you a link, then maybe. But as a general rule, don't click the link. And no, don't copy and paste it into a browser. Don't click on it and close the window really fast. It still infects you with malware. Okay. Create a neighborhood watch. This is where your employees come in. Train your employees to let you know when something suspicious comes to their email or when someone asks for something that seems out of the ordinary. Also, train them not to let people tailgate into the building. And this is a hard one because all of us were taught from a very young age that you hold the door for people. It's polite. That's what you do. However, if you're going into a secured area, you can't do that. And the best tool you can give your employees is a script for what they say if they find themselves in that situation, that someone is trying to come in behind them and they don't know that person. Give them a script and tell them what they need to say. And then hold cybersecurity training for them and teach them about the different things that they can and can't do. Tell them not to click on links. Teach them to use strong passwords. And finally, the best way to protect against ransomware, honestly, is to back up your data regularly. Put all of your security in place. Have your antivirus, because if it's not going to catch everything, but if you don't have antivirus, it's like leaving the front door of your house open. You're just letting it all in. Back up your data. Test the backups to make sure that they work. Store them off-site. We worked with a title company once that lost 20 years of financial data because they were backing it up, but the backup was stored on the same computer as the data, and it all got encrypted. So, off-site backups. And then test your infrastructure. Run vulnerability scans. Hire somebody to try and break into your network or to do vulnerability scans. And finally, get cybersecurity insurance. Target had $100 million worth of cybersecurity insurance that was available if they had a breach. They ended up having about 140 million records breached, so it was less than $1 per person, didn't pay for the postage in order to notify all of us we'd been breached. So the main thing is don't be a target. Thank you.